Did you know that powered parachutes often take off next to the paved runway, not on it? That grassy area is called the Runway Safety Area, or RSA. For us in the powered parachute world, it's the perfect place to launch. It keeps us off the paved runway while we lay out our wings and keeps traffic flowing for everyone else. But until recently, the FAA didn't officially acknowledge the safety of having certain operations use the Runway Safety Area. It's still a new concept for many airport operators and even some pilots. Today we are going to talk about how it came to be that the FAA acknowledges runway safety areas as a valid area to operate from. We'll also talk about how to fly from those areas legally and safely. My name is Roy Beiswinger, and I've been training people to fly powered parachutes since 1993. I probably have as much experience as anyone when it comes to flying powered parachutes from GA airports, since that is where I have been doing flight instruction for over 30 years. So let's get into it. In March 2022, the Recreational Aviation Foundation announced a major advocacy win. The FAA officially recognized turf operations within RSAs, thanks to a collaborative effort by the RAF, AOPA, and EAA. On March 31st, Advisory Circular AC 150-5300-13B went live, acknowledging that pilots flying ultralights, powered parachutes, gliders, taildraggers, and banner towers can use those wonderful grassy strips for takeoff and landing. For years, pilots have quietly used these turf areas, but only now has the FAA given its official stamp of approval. Here's how that came about. Beginning in July 2019, Recreational Aviation Foundation Director Jeff Russell worked with AOPA and EAA, providing feedback and advocating for turf operating areas. The new AC 150-5300-13B contains a section 2.10.6 called Diverse Aeronautical Activities on Airports, which recognizes operations on unpaved portions of the RSA adjacent to a runway. It reads, pilots of certain aircraft, such as ultralights, powered parachutes, helicopters, gliders, agricultural aircraft, tailwheels, aircraft with large balloon-type tundra tires, etc., occasionally use the unpaved portion of the runway safety area adjacent to a runway for takeoffs, landings, or other operations, for example, banner towing. That means the FAA now explicitly acknowledges these turf operations, so long as the airport owner formally requests authorization and the local Flight Standards District Office ensures safety in the proposed area. What this means for powered parachutes is that instead of tying up the end of a paved runway while laying out our canopy, we now have the official freedom to launch from grass. Fewer conflicts and more flexibility, especially at smaller airports that cater to recreational flyers. Okay, so we know the FAA now officially recognizes turf next to a runway as a valid operating area. But here's a big misconception. Just because you see pavement and grass side by side, that doesn't mean you have two separate runways. It's still one runway with two surfaces. This is an important distinction because only one aircraft can be landing at a time, no exceptions. Let's break that down. In aviation terms, a runway is defined by its centerline and approach path, not just the surface material. If the grass is immediately adjacent to the pavement without the required separation distance for a parallel runway, it's considered the same runway. That means a taildragger touching down on the grass and a tricycle-geared airplane landing on the pavement are both using the same runway environment. And since we are using the same runway, the question becomes, who gets priority on that runway? The FAA calls that landing right-of-way, and they already have a rule in place to address that. That rule is in Part 91, General Operating and Flight Rules. Part 91, Section 91.113G spells out landing right-of-way. Aircraft, while on final approach to land or while landing, have the right-of-way over other aircraft in flight or operating on the surface, except that they shall not take advantage of this rule to force an aircraft off the runway which has already landed and is attempting to make way for an aircraft on final approach. When two or more aircraft are approaching an airport for the purpose of landing, the aircraft at the lower altitude has the right-of-way. But it shall not take advantage of this rule to cut in front of another which is on final approach to land or overtake that aircraft. In plain language, runway landings are first come, first serve, regardless of pavement or grass. The lower altitude aircraft has priority, although you must never butt in line ahead of another aircraft. So here are a couple scenarios. Scenario A. An airplane touches down on the paved section and starts clearing the runway. At the same time, a powered parachute is on final to land on the grass. The powered parachute pilot must not descend if the airplane hasn't completely vacated the paved lane. You can't land on the grass until the entire runway footprint, both surfaces, are clear of airplanes. Here's a scenario B. A powered parachute is on final for landing on the grass and an airplane is lining up for final on the pavement. Even though they're going to different surfaces, they're using the same runway. Only one can be on or over that runway at a time. Touching down on grass doesn't give you a free pass to ignore traffic on the pavement. And touching down on the pavement doesn't give an airplane a free pass to ignore traffic over the grass. Here's a scenario C. A powered parachute lands on the grass and the pilot begins stowing his wing. Meanwhile, an airplane continues to use the paved runway. As long as the powered parachute pilot is clear of the runway environment, both operations can proceed safely. If the grass area is long or wide enough, it becomes common to see powered parachutes and slower light sport aircraft using the grass surface while other powered parachutes are storing their equipment. But always with vertical and horizontal separation and always respecting right-of-way. Safety is everyone's responsibility in the traffic pattern. If you assume the grass is a separate runway and land while someone else is still clearing the pavement, you risk a collision. Remember, Section 91.113G exists to prevent confusion over landing priority. Whether you're in a Cessna on pavement or a powered parachute on grass, the runway environment is one and the same. Keep your eyes on other traffic, respect the right-of-way rule, and wait until the runway environment is completely clear before you land. Bottom line, even if a runway has a grassy edge for taildraggers and powered parachutes, it's still one runway. Only one aircraft at a time can take off or land, no exceptions. More freedom, less friction, and zero confusion. That's how we all stay safe in the pattern. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like, share it with your flying friends, and consider subscribing for more powered parachute and general aviation tips. Until next time, blue skies.